but, my wife wanted to go spend this, great sum of money, which I thought was a great sum of money, on some window dressing. So I decided to go, And I said, I don't want all those flowers, I don't want to be in the room with all the flowers. She said, well, what man picks out window dressing anyway, And I said, well, one who has to sit in the room, and also had to pay the money, But I mean, nowhere in the world was I going to get one to a doggone dress with all these little flowers and, all this little fluttery stuff,
I think if our marriage were a dance, it would be the swing dance, because the swing dance it can be fast at times, sometimes it can be a little bit slower, but it's kind of always moving. There's always things going on, and there's ups, there's downs, sometimes there's a drop, but the whole time you're holding hands, you're with your spouse.
I'm Jim, and together with my wife Jennifer, we'll host this program that explores the Beatitudes as a path to holiness in Christian marriage.
Marriage is a dance. Sometimes we lead and sometimes we follow, and definitely we learn as we go.
God provides the music for our dance, and we move to its rhythm.
If your marriage were a dance, what type of dance would it be?
Our marriage were a dance, it would be the robot. Go to pick up the kids, go to work, cook breakfast in the morning.
I like the robots.
I think when we first got married, it was like maybe, he said it was a polka.
Yes.
Clogging, constant motion, and I'm stepping on her feet all the time.
I feel like sometimes my marriage is a tap dance. A swing. It's fun, it's bouncy, it changes direction.
Well, at times it would be a waltz. It would be graceful, it would be beautiful, and it would be flowing. Other times it would be a tango.
The tango, not in the old traditional sense of the tango, where the man always leads, but in some of the newer versions, I guess, where the woman also leads.
I would say the cha-cha or the merengue.
The Macarena.
It would be the swing dance.
It would be the jitterbug.
The man's challenge, I think, is to try to decide if the woman wants a waltz today or a tango today.
It's a quick step. We want it all, all the time.
Learning the marriage dance is a joyful process, but it includes the experience of pain and disappointment. There are times when we step on each other's toes, we trip, we lose the rhythm, or we don't feel like dancing.
In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus proclaims, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be consoled." He tells us that we are blessed when we mourn, when we accept our humanness, embrace our crosses, and turn to God for consolation.
A weakness we inherited as children of Adam and Eve is the tendency to deny our problems.
We find ways to escape our pains. We numb ourselves with alcohol or drugs.
We bury ourselves in our work. We procrastinate to avoid doing things we don't like, or we blame others for our troubles.
Denial keeps us from mourning, and sometimes our denial is visible in the way we deal with our problems.
What would your spouse say is your typical way of dealing with a problem?
Tina would say that I escape problems with humor.
It would be for me to go and work at a garage.
Dave would say that I clam up. I quit talking. He would be right.
Really?
He would say that I shut down. Shut him out, shut down.
I'm always trying to avoid it by just saying, I just don't want to talk about it right now.
We do tend to avoid until we can't avoid it any longer.
Okay. Avoiding the problem would be shopping and spending money.
She would say that I ignore the problem.
Ignore the problem or put it aside.
I'm the world's biggest procrastinator.
Patty will say that my typical way is to bury my head in the sand.
Connecting with that would be that I tend to want to resolve it, just the opposite, I guess. But then that can be an issue too, because then, there's the timing in resolving a situation.
In marriage, our disappointments, conflicts, and misunderstandings are our daily crosses. When we have the courage to accept them and ask God for help to carry them, we can mourn and find consolation.
Jesus also proclaims, "Blessed are the persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven."
The relevance of this beatitude was underscored by John Paul II, who told us of a raging battle being fought in today's society between the culture of life and the culture of death.
What situations do you encounter in your daily life that are in conflict with your Christian values?
Anytime I go to check email or check the news on the internet, there's just junk all over the place.
There's content on the internet that we're very cautious of.
And there are a lot of threats to human dignity and human life that in particular I face with the work that I do, where I represent as an attorney individuals who are condemned to death.
You can't say Merry Christmas, you need to say Happy Holidays.
I worked for an individual that's a different culture than ours. And in their culture, having a monogamous relationship with your wife was not the norm. If you were away, you could do whatever you wanted to do.
There are those people who think that we can just go shortcut, although it may be against the law.
I had a moment a few weeks ago where I was watching my children sleep, and I just prayed to God, how can I protect my children from all the evil in the world? And the only way to do it is to bring them up right.
Marriage and family life are at the center of today's war of values, and each one of us is called to choose a side.
Messages contrary to the gospel enter our homes daily through the media. Many exalt self-indulgence and pressure us to conform. Their intense noise can drown out the gentle sound of God's voice that is calling us to holiness.
St. Paul urges us, don't be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is the will of God.
In the midst of today's culture war, what do you do to keep yourself and your family open to hearing the guidance of God's voice?
You know, we go to church every Sunday.
Every Sunday, go to Mass.
You have to put aside some time. I've told people, I said, God talks to you, but we can't hear him because we got the cell phone in our ear, we got the...
I sit in this chair every morning for about 20 minutes. I just connect with God, and then that keeps me connected through the day, and I really then feel like I can hear God's voice.
Find quiet time during the day, often at lunch, and just listening, taking 10 minutes to just sit quietly and hear what's going on and what God's trying to say.
We use the Bible as our guide to how we live our lives.
And then having a strong faith community that shares our values and beliefs.
We talk about God with our children. We pray together as a family.
One of the things we do is read the diocesan paper. There are a lot of stories that spark good conversation and really keep you in touch with the Christian community, the Catholic community.
Marriage is a dance. In choosing Christian marriage, you chose to dance as a couple to the rhythm of God's love song.
In your marriage dance, Jesus counsels you to embrace your crosses and to seek God's consolation. In doing so, you grow in holiness and find joy.
Now, spend some time with your spouse, reflecting on your own dance.
Ask yourselves, are we dancing to the rhythm of God's love song, or are we following someone else's music?